This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Thanks for hanging out here with us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for videos every single day right here on the channel on the Niners. Coming up, big moves in store for this ball club. San Francisco has a series of big decisions that they're going to need to make this offseason, and I'm going to talk about the biggest decisions that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are already thinking about right now. Before we do that, today's poll question is this: will the Niners be back in the playoffs next year? Type P for playoffs, type M for miss. Sound off with what you think down below in the comments section. The first order of business for the Niners: signing Brock Purdy to a contract extension. Where you don't want to be in the National Football League is quarterback purgatory or have quarterback questions. Brock Purdy has played at a very elite level throughout much of his Niners tenure. There certainly were some struggles during the 2024 season, but I think moving forward, he can be the player more so that we saw in 2023 when he was top 5 in MVP voting, and in 2022 when in both of those years he led the Niners as the team's starting quarterback to an NFC Championship game, and of course in 2023 a few plays away from winning the Super Bowl. Diana Rossini reporting from the Super Bowl when we were down there in New Orleans that contract negotiations have started. Both sides want a new deal soon. Jed York also said recently when there was that Super Bowl committee at Levi Stadium to celebrate the Super Bowl coming to Santa Clara for this upcoming season for Super Bowl 60 that we want Brock to be with the Niners for a very long time. And as we know, we're talking about this because Purdy is entering the final year of his contract. And it's pretty telling. When the owner says we want you and the owner says we want to pay this guy, oftentimes you're going to get paid. If the general manager, the CEO, the COO of your company is talking about you and they say, yeah, we want Chase Sr. around for a long time, I'd feel pretty damn good about myself. Here's a quote from Jed York on Purdy. I know we want Brock to be here for a long time. We'll do everything we can to make that stuff work. Brock is just a tremendous human being. I'm looking forward to a long-term partnership. So that's pretty notable right there that the owner of the football team who signs the checks is saying that about Purdy. And Purdy since 2022, part of the reason why York is confident in him, why he likes him, he's won a lot. Made it to 2 straight NFC Championship games during his rookie campaign and sophomore season. Went to the Super Bowl in 2023. He's been 23-13 as a starter going into 2025. In 2023, he was top 5 in MVP voting. It's pretty incredible how his stock can plummet so much according to some people and in the eyes of some from 2023 to 2024, when in 2023, he was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the game and was top 5 in MVP voting. And he's also had really good production. 64 touchdowns, 27 picks. Is he a quarterback who's going to be able to carry his team to the Super Bowl? No, I think he needs some help around him. But even Patrick Mahomes looked human against the Philadelphia Eagles because he had no offensive line protection in front of him. Same can be said for Brock Purdy in 2024 when his offensive line didn't do him any favors either. Step number 2, the Niners have to fix the offensive line. Left guard, center, right tackle have to be upgraded. And so that plays into the big decisions that are looming for this ball club here going into this offseason. The Niners cannot see and watch what the Philadelphia Eagles did against the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 59 and say, we're not going to put an emphasis on improving the offensive line. If that Eagles defensive line matched up against this current iteration of the Niners offensive line from 2024, Brock Purdy would be running for his life. And so one path to fix the offensive line that I think would do wonders for this team, sign center Drew Dalman in free agency. Best center among this free agency group. Draft a player like Armand Membu at number 11 out of Mizzou. I think that he can be a star right tackle. He can also play guard. I think he's a plug-and-play guy from the jump. So if you sign Dalman and you draft a player like Membu or Will Campbell or Kelvin Banks and you plug him in there at right tackle, your offensive line is already drastically improved. Then you have Trent Williams at left tackle. You'll figure out left guard. Dahlman center, Dominic Pooney at right guard, and a better player than Colton McKivitz at right tackle. And then you target other offensive linemen day 2, day 3 to continue to bulk up that unit. Sticking in the trenches, the 49ers have to build up the defensive line. Defensive tackle and edge rusher are huge needs. Again, I'm going to go back to what the Philadelphia Eagles did and what they looked like. Howie Roseman and the Eagles stacked up along the offensive line and the defensive line. This has really been an organizational philosophy for Philadelphia since the turn of the century and after they hired Andy Reid in 1999. Andy Reid has always built from inside out, whereas the Niners under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have kind of built outside in. They've paid some defensive linemen, but they haven't invested into the offensive line enough. And you think about how Philadelphia played against Kansas City. They owned Kansas City with their offensive line. And then their defensive line was straight up dominant. I want to see the ripple effect of Philadelphia winning that Super Bowl carry over to a team like the Niners. They have skill position players. Kyle Shanahan's going to be able to make the offense work. But it's not going to be as successful, and the Niners aren't going to be as successful if they're not better at the point of attack. Sometimes you have to watch the game of football from the sideline. Who's getting a better push with their offensive line and defensive line? And in the Super Bowl, it didn't matter Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback. The Eagles were dominant up front, and the Niners have to follow suit, especially if they figure to get past Philadelphia in a playoff game. Now, I know I just mentioned taking a player like Armand Membu or another offensive tackle at number 11. A player who's really starting to intrigue me is Walter Nolan, the Ole Miss defensive tackle, and he's starting to climb up draft boards a little bit. I'd be fine, as I mentioned on X, with the Niners taking him with the 11th overall pick. Quick burst, twitch, and get off from that defensive tackle spot. Pass rushing skill from the interior, 6.5 sacks in 2024 with 25 hurries. He was an All-American. He's not just a pass rushing defensive tackle. He had a 91.6 Pro Football Focus run defense grade. He's violent, physical, and fast. And he had a great Senior Bowl showing, which is resulting in him climbing up draft boards. And going back to that point about the Eagles, after seeing how Philadelphia destroyed the Chiefs' offensive line, led by Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, Moro Ajomo, Jordan Davis, from the interior alone. It's not even talking about Josh Sweat, who had 2.5 sacks, or Nolan Smith, or Jalen Hunt. I want to see the Niners get a game changer at defensive tackle. They've sorely missed DeForest Buckner ever since they traded him away. Defensive tackle, huge need this offseason. Now, if you do go offensive line in round 1, this is a very deep defensive tackle class. So if you don't get a player like Walter Nolan in the first round, you can get a really good defensive tackle in the second round. Before we continue to push forward on today's show, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This is your home for the best Niners offseason coverage. So bang, bang, Niner gang, all the way down to you hitting that subscribe button. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at ZBiotics, an absolutely game-changing product, and you can see for yourself and get 15% off by going to zbiotics.com/chatsports and scanning this QR code right here to my left. You're probably wondering, Chase, what is ZBiotics? Let me break it down for you. Have you ever skipped a workout because of drinks the night before? Yeah, I've been there. If you're committed to your healthier routine this year, you need ZBiotics pre-alcohol. We all have busy lives these days, can't afford to waste a day stuck on the couch because of a few drinks the night before. Well, ZBiotics pre-alcohol is the answer we've all been looking for. Let's face it, after a night with drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I got to make a choice. I can either have a great day or a great night. That is until I found ZBiotics pre-alcohol. It is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to drink this probiotic before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports. Scan the QR code on your screen right now. I've taken this before watch parties so that next day I am feeling great and I can do my shows to the best and fullest of my capabilities. You can also sign up for a subscription using our code so that you can stay prepared no matter the time or the occasion. ZBiotics is backed with the 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. 50% off zbiotics.com/chatsports. Use the code chatsports. Big decisions number 4 for the Niners. Figure out what to do with Deebo Samuel. Big report from Tim Kawakami, longtime Bay Area sports reporter, on Wednesday, February 12th, when he said Deebo and his camp and the 49ers are both advancing forward as if he will not be a Niner in 2025. And this is different than 2022 when there was that trade request from Deebo, and then they ended up signing that contract extension. All was good, and the Niners were able to retain Deebo. So it's looking as though a divorce is going to happen between San Francisco and Deebo. He is due $17.5 million in 2025. The Niners would absorb a $31.5 million dead cap hit if he were traded pre-June 1. But post-June 1, the Niners would get hit with about $10.5 million of dead money, but then would save $5.1 million in 2026, and then $22.3 million in 2027. So a couple of different avenues in which the Niners could go. They trade him away, they get hit with that dead cap charge, they take it all in at once, and they get draft compensation back, and they say, okay, we'll wipe our hands clean of the Deebo situation, and we'll have to eat that money right from the get-go. If you go post-June 1, you're able to spread that money out, but you might not be able to get that draft compensation. Releasing Deebo, I think, makes more sense, but are the Niners willing to do that? It makes more financial sense, but you're not going to be able to get that draft compensation back for Deebo, obviously, if you release him instead of trading him away. And then lastly here, what free agents should the 49ers retain? Those are also going to be big decisions for this football team as well. The two free agents who I would be fine with bringing back, safety Talanoa Hufanga and linebacker Dre Greenlaw. But Matt Barris of The Athletic reporting that he thinks both of those players are not going to come back in 2025. Why would that happen? Niners aren't willing to give them long-term deals worth a lot of money. And Greenlaw, Hufanga, when healthy, excellent players from other teams. They could land multi-year deals worth more money, and for them at this point of their respective careers, might be better for both of them to leave for that reason. The Niners need to have a plan of attack prior to free agency beginning in March. You have free agency beginning in March, then you have the NFL draft in April. You get all your ducks in a row so that you can crush this offseason and have a big turnaround going into 2025 like the Eagles did after they collapsed after their Super Bowl hangover of a season when they also lost to Kansas City. Be sure to give me a follow, by the way, on X and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Thanks for all of your support.